Hello, my friend. Welcome back to the podcast. Today, I'm thrilled to be joined by Dan Uyemura, who's the founder and CEO of Push Press, which is a platform that is redefining how gym owners run their businesses. This is Dan's first time on the podcast, and honestly, this conversation is packed with gold. We talk about everything from building better lead funnels and creating an unforgettable client experience to using software and soon AI to actually make your life easier as a gym owner. And so we also dig into the concept of building business flywheels, how owners can basically create self-reinforcing systems that lead to better retention, more referrals, and more sustainable growth. Dan even gave us a sneak peek into a new book he's working on and explains how your most important metric in your business might just be client check-ins. So if you're serious about building a gym that grows because of your client experience and not in spite of it, this episode is for you. Let's dive in. Hello, fitness business nerds. What's up? Welcome to another episode of the Business Unicorns podcast. I am very excited to have on the podcast for the very first time. It's Dan Uyemura, who is the founder and CEO of Push Press, who we've talked about before on this podcast, and you'll probably be hearing even more about today in our conversation. So welcome to the podcast, Dan.
Super stoked to be here. Thank you for having me. I love the fact you introduced us as a nerds for the nerds, because that's what I really identify as. So
honestly, you know, I'm a big fan of this business. I like playing the game of gym ownership, and Mark and I are super nerds for it. So welcome to the nerd community. For people who don't know much about your story, Dan, or Push Press, just say a little bit about, you know, how did your life bring you to this moment of being the founder and CEO of Push Press?
Oh gosh, it's basically been a work of my whole life if I look back on it.
Yeah.
Going back as far as I can remember, I was an entrepreneur. I would bake brownies and sell them in the yard. I had a paper route as a kid. I was trying to open pool halls during college. And I guess all of that kind of led me to becoming an internet developer during college, because it was where the most exciting startup-y type stuff was.
Sure.
Was a developer for, I don't know, 10 or 12 years. And during that time, I developed this, two things happened. I developed kind of like this disdain for just sitting at a desk and coding all day long. And I started to realize the game they're playing, they're basically like buying me fettuccine Alfredo dinners and buying me Coca-Cola to sit at the desk and code more.
Yep.
But the result of that is you end up 40 pounds overweight.
Sure.
The second thing happened was personally, I found fitness, or I refound my love for fitness. I was always into fitness and sports as a kid, but 12 years sitting at a desk coding, you get out of shape. And then I found boutique gyms around 2008. And kind of married the two of those things together. I opened a gym, realized I wasn't really a fan of all the software. Of course, the cocky, software engineer was.
Of course, like I could do this better. Yeah.
That was mistake number one. That mindset. But that ignorance led me down the path of building what became the early versions of Push Press, and then being in the gym ownership space. And this is actually a huge ode to Chris Cooper.
Mm-hmm.
I remember in 2013, he wasn't even Tuberin yet. He was something else, but I went to San Diego and caught him at a seminar, and he said something that stuck with me. And it was called this idea of the abundance mindset and help first.
Mm-hmm.
And I just really fell in love with that. And I started helping more and more gym owners, launch websites and build landing, do tech stuff. And that kind of spun off into people wanting to use my software, which, just became a slow roll into where I got pulled into what we're doing today.
Yeah. That's amazing. Well, we have a ton of Unicorn Society members and people in our community who use Push Press and love it. Some of our coaches on our team use Push Press and love it. So, we can give people a place to go learn more later, but just at a high level, what does Push Press do for people who don't know what the software is?
Basically, we're, what you would call a gym management software. Mm-hmm. I call it more of a platform. We're trying to build kind of an end-to-end suite of tools that allow you to focus on your clients, allow the business to, create the process and operations that need to run. But more importantly, like we're kind of building network effect and flywheel into the product, so gyms can actually have an easier time once they get going with us.
Yeah, love that. Well, we all need that because we all know how much gym owners are wearing many hats in the business, pulled in lots of directions. So the easier, all of that software can work for us all in one place, the better. So, you've had an opportunity at this point, not only to be a gym owner, but interact with, I'm sure, hundreds or thousands of gym owners over the time. And one of the things I'm sure you've seen is lots of different ways that gym owners manage their lead funnel their kind of marketing and lead funnel. So when you think back to all the gyms you've worked with, the ones that are doing really well, the ones that really generate a lot of leads and trying to keep them and convert them well throughout the process, what are they doing differently that the gyms who are not succeeding are missing?
Um, I think in general, any gym that's doing well has to some degree figured out this funnel.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm actually writing a book about a lot of the concepts of this, which discuss the different sections of your business that you've got to operate through to make sure you find success. But the funnel, and the way I think about funnel is top to bottom. So it's interest and engagement, which turn into leads, which turn into sales opportunities, and then onboarding, I think, is the biggest missed opportunity in most
Mm-hmm.
gyms.
Yep.
Value delivery is part of the funnel, and then like churn is the back end of the funnel. So reducing churn and turning happy clients into raving fans.
Got it. So you're
That
talking
whole
about the whole
thing, it's like,
client life cycle, or not just a marketing and sales funnel. You're talking about the whole client experience.
yeah, I mean, all in all, I personally, I call it a funnel, but it's more like an hourglass. So it's like
Yeah.
you have
Yep.
this squeeze point and then it opens up on the bottom. And yeah, that's how I look at it. The
Yeah.
life cycle or the funnel of a client.
Yeah. So when you say when the people who are doing well or people who figured this out, what are some things they figured out that you think are things that are really best practices at this point?
Yeah, the first thing I'll say is nobody's ever figured it out. That's the thing about business I find amazing and fascinating is once you figured it out, you have another problem you've got to deal with consistently and forever. So if you're listening to this and you're like, well, I haven't figured it out, don't feel bad because nobody's figured it out. There's just people who have like gotten some chunks of this thing a little bit more, satisfied than others. Um, I have ADHD. So what was the original question?
No, that's okay. No, I think that's useful. I think that's useful for people to hear, which is we're all making it up as we go along. People
Yeah.
who have a lot of success sometimes is because they have some pieces of this funnel or this hourglass that they figured out, but very few of us have it all figured out all at the same time. So I think, one of the things I know a lot of our listeners struggle with is really just like lead follow up. From the moment someone raises their hand and DMs them or walks in the door or fills out a form on their website through the moment where they commit to membership, it's that piece where I know people lean heavily on software like PushPress to manage that lead follow up. So you can just say a little bit about when that specific part of the funnel, what do you think matters most for our listeners?
In the early stages of a customer become aware or engage with you as a company, if we're talking about the point where they've already reached out to you, then it's going to be speed to lead and
Mm-hmm.
personalization of communication.
Yep.
So a lot of these softwares actually are good at keeping the speed to lead and the connection made, but it really is, there needs to be something within the gym owner or the coaches on staff that are driving a personalized approach to this. A little bit of humor, a little bit of, personal connection, a little bit of empathy. All of these things go a long way that the software can do and probably will get better over the years as AI develops. But right now, I think it's a human. The humans do it better.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's really smart. And we talk about this all the time, Dan, and we talk to our Unicorn Society members, which is, right now we want to work with all the automation tools we can get our hands on to make our jobs a little bit easier, take, minutes and hours off our plate every single week. And this is still very much a human to human job, right? We need to have both. We need to have automated texts and emails and some phone calls and some face-to-face conversations. And so I think it's really smart to think through how you can automate as much as possible, but still have that personalization and that kind of humanity in these interactions. I think that makes a
Yeah.
lot of sense.
A huge topic I lean into all the time is people buy from people, humans buy from humans.
Yep.
And at the end of the day, and this is why if we go back a step in the funnel, I believe all gym owners should be on social media on their own personal accounts, which I'm probably preaching the choir for you guys. You guys get it, but you shouldn't be posting from your gym account. You should be posting from your personal account. You should talk about what it's like to be a gym owner and how much you care about your clients and what Sally and Mary got as gains in their gyms, et cetera, because it's the human stories and human relationships that we all buy into. It's not anything else at the end of the day.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So let me ask this. This is a little bit of a pivot, but before we started recording today, we were both talking about the fact that when clients choose to work with a business like PushPress or like Business for Unicorns, we really think of it like a partnership. Like we're in it together to help you grow your gym. And for a lot of people listening, they have a hard time deciding who to partner with and who not to partner with. Not just because of the features of your software or your platform, but because it's like, how do I know whether or not the people at Push Press are people I want to work with on a regular basis? How do I know the team at Business of Unicorns are the kind of people I want to work with? So how do you overcome that? How do you build a bridge between you and the clients to help them decide whether or not you're the right fit?
Us personally,
Yeah.
it's we kind of lean into that. So the whole humans buy from humans thing, and again, I think a lot of this stuff was early. These philosophies were partially and early shaped by the Chris Coopers of the world. Um, Humans buy from humans, so it's like we always built an idea around our business that customer service is part of our product. That was something we didn't see in most of our competitors at the time. Customer service is part of the product. We put humans in front of people. We develop relationships with people. We always did silly things like throw gifts at people when success happened, or we actually there's another big thing that we we lean into heavily, which is called unreasonable moments. We actually have a Slack channel for it. Anytime we find out one of our clients has any type of life event that deserves some type of attention from us that goes above and beyond the type of attention they would expect to get, we surface it. And so we have so many people talking to clients, customer service people, salespeople. I'm talking to clients, and like I found out that one of our gyms, Babylon CrossFit, was having I think it was their 10th year anniversary. I just saw it on social media, so I had our team send her some coffee as a gift, which she wasn't expecting through DoorDash. And it was like a $10 coffee and a $25 gift certificate.
Yep.
But,
makes a huge difference.
Just touches them in a way that like someone's paying attention to what we're doing. And she made a huge like 2-minute story, two 1-minute stories about it, like in tears, about how thankful she was for it. It's like little things like that you can do in your gym, even that. And we do in our gyms. I think this is one thing that we've learned from owning gyms, that like we're a community and we pay attention to each other, and we're in it for the downs and we're in it for the highs, and we ride it together.
Yeah. Well, what I love so much about what you're saying, Dan, is you're really getting back to some of the basics of like folks like Zig Ziglar or Dale Carnegie, about the idea that, you need to build this kind of sense of people know you and like you and trust you. Then they'll listen to you and they'll buy from you. And so the idea throughout what you're saying here is just, if you keep making it personal and build that kind of person to person, human to human connection, then you'll build that trust that says, we're a good fit to work together, right? People will know you care about them first.
The super interesting thing to that, and this does not, this won't resonate with gym owners, because I think gym owners fall in the same bucket I fall into, but most businesses create relationship and do all of that work because they want to make money. And I think a lot of us in this industry see it as, we want to do this work because we want to create the connection, we want to provide value, and we understand that money can come on the back end of it. And I think there's this false sense of, as a customer, you feel it when someone was really personable with you, nice to you, whatever, and then they turn on the sales script right at the end of it to make the money, that then you actually break more trust than you build doing that. So you've got to carry it all the way through and just have faith that once you make that relationship and that connection, that as long as you're providing the value you promise you provide, they will be customers of yours because they trust you.
Yeah. Well said. Well said.
Yeah. Hey there, Business of Unicorns podcast listeners. I'm just making absolutely sure you have already gotten your free, instantly downloadable copy of my new book, The Little Book of Gym Marketing Secrets. You can find a link to download it in the show notes, or you can go to gymmarketingsecretsbook.com. I worked super hard to make sure this is a less than a 30-minute read and is a comprehensive overview of all the things you need to do to grow your gym, get more leads, more clients, and importantly, change more lives. Again, find the link in the show notes, where you can download your free copy at gymmarketingsecretsbook.com. And now back to the podcast.
Well said. So you mentioned a little while ago that you're building a book, and I think it's about this kind of flywheel effect, building flywheels in your business. So say a little bit more, give us a teaser of what's coming in this book.
Yeah, so I'm a big studier of business. In fact, I think like an interesting thing is, I again look back to my childhood. I always played games like Civilizations. I played a lot of building games where you build empires. And I realize I think business is just a real life manifestation of that. And, in studying some of the greats from the past, I think it was Jim Collins who first wrote about the flywheel and Good to Great. There's a way that you can actually build a process in most businesses that stack upon each other, that make each next segment easier, because it basically creates a flywheel, if you will. If you want to, have another analogy, it's almost like you push a boulder up a mountain. It's really hard in the beginning, really hard in the beginning, really hard in the beginning, and then it starts to go downhill a little bit. It gets easier and easier, and the downhill gets steeper. You can do that in a business if you know what the segments of your business are and how to construct them in a way that they actually feed each other. And so I learned that with Jim Collins, I'm actually a huge student of Amazon and what Bezos has done. Read most of the books about that. They actually took Jim Collins' Flywheel and made it even bigger and better. And as I was reading kind of some of the books on that, I realized to myself, like, there's no reason a gym can't build a flywheel. And that's what we've basically done. We built what we call the Love's Flywheel, which puts the customer center. So it's aligned with exactly all the things I'm talking about today. Put the customer center. You build all of your segments of your business around the customer. And then it turns into this business motion where the customer continues to propel the business once you've gotten them through a few stages of it.
Yeah. Well, I love so much about this because I think so often when we talk to gym owners, they're living every day a little bit like Groundhog's Day, and they're kind of like chasing the fires and figuring out as they go along. And one of the things that's required when you talk about building flywheels in any business or you do any sort of systems thinking in running an organization is about creating repeatable systems, right? Creating processes that build on themselves and repeat it over time. And because without that repeatability in the workflow every day, it's impossible to get a flywheel. That requires a kind of repetition that's important. So maybe can you just illustrate with like maybe an example, like what's a type of flywheel like process that you think gym owners should be building?
I mean, we can walk through some of the segments of the flywheel. So love stands for lead the way, which is sales, onboard intentionally, value delivery, human engagement, and then share, social, and stories. Sharing, basically. And in this flywheel, I intentionally put S last because we think of marketing as the first thing we need to do. We need to go out there and shout to the world what we have done, what we're doing in our gym. And the reality is it should be last. It should be, you get a customer all the way through the flywheel and you get them to tell their stories, them to share socially what they've gotten at their gym. And that becomes such a more powerful magnet to pull people into your gym. So what we've actually done in the book is we've used data from PushPress to connect these flywheel pieces together to show that one fuels the next. I'll give you an example. So like between value delivery and human engagement, this is an interesting one. So value delivery to me is like people are showing up because they're getting value. So we just pegged this one to check-ins per month. The number of check-ins a person comes per month is a direct reflection to how much they feel they're getting value in your gym because they're showing up. I've done a keynote in the past that basically said that's the one, if you had to focus on one metric, that's the one, because that's the one that reduces churn, and churn is the thing that's killing our business. But interestingly enough, like when we get to the human engagement side, PushPress is interesting, and all software is interesting because we can actually measure engagement people have that is beyond a check-in. So for us, it's like we built a social feed, we have a committed club, we have ways for people to like, fist bump or give fire emojis to people on workouts. There's all these different ways people engage within the gym through digital tech as well. And we've created this engagement score. And what we've seen, and a lot of these things sound stupid and obvious, but it's like, this is how you can do the simple things that connect the dots to the flywheel. When someone shows up at the gym more and showing you they get more value, they are much more connected to the gym members in your gym and have a higher engagement score per member in your gym.
Yeah.
And then, just to push that one step forward, people that are more connected to other people in the gym are more likely to share stories and drive referrals into your gym. So you can just see how like you just get one going, feeds the next, you get that one going, feeds the next, and it keeps going.
Yeah, I think those tools are so smart, Dan, because the gym owners that I talk to on a regular basis are constantly wanting to know, how are my clients doing? Are they liking it here? Are they having success? Are they going to stick around? Are they going to keep coming? And so often we only have the lagging indicator of they asked to leave, right? They want to terminate. And so having all of these kind of leading engagement indicators to say, oh, they're showing up. They're participating in our online feed. They are giving fist bumps. They are, et cetera, et cetera. I think is really valuable because it gives us, this kind of breadcrumb trail to follow of what good engagement looks like for a client. We don't have to kind of sit in our hands and wait and hope they don't ask to freeze or terminate. And so I think that makes a ton of sense. And so let me ask you this: when those clients do have some friction and are thinking about freezing or leaving, what have you seen that works in terms of keeping them engaged, right? So when they do start to step away and are a little bit less engaged, how do you reel them back in?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it needs to be more proactive. Let's answer that first part of the question first, which is
Great.
If they've already kind of lost a little bit of the connection with the gym, how do you reel them back in?
Yeah.
I think a lot of this is the obvious stuff. I don't have a silver bullet here. It would be reaching out to them personally, asking them how things are going, what the problem is there something I can solve, inviting them back in the gym, offering them free PT if maybe, or discounted PT, connecting them with a member. But I think a lot of this, again, needs to be proactive. So
Sure.
you need to stem this before it becomes a problem, generally speaking. And this is where like making sure they're part of a community. And this is all part of the Love's Flywheel, the human engagement part, right? Making sure you create moments between moments in the workout so that they're not running from one thing to the next and never get to ask each other how their weekend was. Some of the stuff we build at Push Press, like the committed clubs have been a huge hit. And basically we've just productized a concept all these gyms have done. But what we figured is the more we can take off the owner's plate and turn into an experience within the digital app, the more people actually will participate. And we found like we've increased people's committed clubs by about 50%. And anyone who's in the committed club is 8 times less likely to churn in the next 6 months. So it's like you reduce the churn almost to zero. It's literally like 1%. So these are the ways I think we partner with our gyms to try to proactively work towards like, let's get ahead of churn before churn. Because once you're trying to save someone, you're trying to overcome momentum that's going the wrong way.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Dan. I think so much of retention, almost all of retention game is proactive, has to be like an offense that once you're on your heels and responding to them being unhappy or wanting to leave, it's such an uphill battle. And at MFF, we used to keep track of how many folks had a exit interview that we saved and changed their mind. And it was, single digit conversion at that point, because you're up against some momentum in the opposite direction. So
I think one thing we need to remember in the gyms is by the time a member has asked you to quit, they've already they feel bad. They've already paid you 2 or 3 more times than they wanted to as like a bonus kicker to you. And by the time they actually have the conversation, they're so far cemented in that decision that they aren't coming back.
Yeah. Since you're a technology guy, maybe my last question for you is going to be the most obvious one, but I don't get a lot of folks who have a background in technology on this podcast on a regular basis. So I got to ask you about AI, both how you all are thinking about it in Push Press and maybe how you're thinking about it personally in terms of your own productivity. So what's on your radar in terms of, I'll keep it focused on the positive, about how AI can be useful right now to gym owners?
I think AI is actually going to change the game for gym owners in the next couple of years. Yeah. It is a new burgeoning tool. I remember, I'm going to date myself, but I was a freshman in college when email started coming out.
Yep.
And nobody wanted to do email. And everyone used to say, like, I'd rather just put a stamp on an envelope and send. It's way easier to send an email. I think you're going to start seeing AI first products that are going to completely transform how gym ownership works. We are building our AI thesis right now. I'm super excited about it. I really think it's going to change the game for our clients. I don't want to talk too much. I don't like talking about stuff we haven't built, but I'll just say used correctly and built with taste. And I think that's a very important piece of it. AI could actually be very impactful for taking 90% of the workload off of gym owners.
Yeah. How are you personally using it these days?
So I personally have a pet peeve against people who use AI in a lazy way. I use AI pretty rigorously personally. Mm-hmm. But anytime I get a memo or a Slack or something from someone and it's like, what AI looks like now, I don't even read it. Because I'm like, if I ask 2 questions, you probably don't even know what the answers are to these things. You haven't even put the work in. I use AI basically as a professional in my pocket, which means like I got to write a board memo starting today. I've got 14 days to write a board memo, which basically means I have to summarize all of last quarter in a 20-page doc. It's funny, when I went to college, I thought I'd never write a 20-page doc again, but I do it every quarter. But what I do is I'll go back and forth with ChatGPT or AI, and I'll say, like, here's our numbers, like, here's some stuff, like let's walk through it. And I basically banter with it to try to come up with, it's my ideation, but it's written in a better way than I could write because it's actually looking at multiple facets and different data points and et cetera, et cetera. So that's how it helps me personally.
Yep.
But I tell everyone I work with, like, I don't save time by using AI, but I produce 10x better stuff.
Yeah, that's an interesting way of thinking about it. I love the idea. I think my experience has actually been very similar in that I really like it as like a brainstorm buddy. It helped me challenge my thinking, ask me good questions, reflect back what I think I said in different ways. And oftentimes it just does help me produce more content, maybe a little faster, a little bit more cleaner than I would have in my first or second draft. So that makes a lot of sense to me. And I'm glad to know you all are working on it at Push Press. I think there's so many tools in the fitness space being a somewhat young industry that are so much farther behind than other similar tools in other industries because we're still relatively young. So it's great to see folks like you all trying to lead the charge and use some of these new AI tools in stuff for gyms is exciting.
One thing I will say is going to be an interesting thing play out is I think because AI is basically making it so you can prototype and build software 100 times faster.
Yeah.
You're going to see 100 times more things come out that are half baked, because you can iterate so fast. And if you haven't really put your thought into it and you know the client base and you know the problem set, I do have a prediction that there's going to be 100 times more gym management softwares, 100 times more productivity softwares, email clients, like everything under the sun. There's going to be you're going to be inundated with software, and the experience for most of them are going to be lacking because it just takes time to nail software. It takes a lot of time to get it right. So that
makes sense. Yeah.
That's one thing I am worried about, like as a distraction, like you're going to see a whole bunch of stuff coming out.
Yeah, I agree. I think we're already seeing more of those kinds of pieces of software come out than I ever have before. And people have to get more discerning about how they choose who to work with, both in terms of values alignments, like we talked about, partners who actually give a shit about my work and my gym, and also by testing things and making sure that things actually work the way they say they will. That makes a lot of sense. I know we're coming up at our time, and I want to give you a chance to say what's coming up at Push Press. For anyone listening who wants to learn more about working with Push Press, where do they go? And so, let's end on a moment to talk about Push Press.
Oh, I mean, pushpress.com, like it's spelled. How do you do this backwards? Pushpress.com. We're going to be in Denver, I believe.
Yeah. So for any Unicorn Society members listening, coming to our retreat, September 2025 in Denver, Dan and some of his team members are going to be there. So you'll get to meet them there. And for any listeners who are not Unicorn Society members, go to pushpress.com, check them out. I think you have a free demo. Is that right?
We actually have a free version of our software too.
Great.
So depending on how big our gym is and stuff, you might get routed into just like go ahead and use it for free, or you might get put into a call with somebody and a free trial setup. But
that's awesome.
We're here to help. Like I'm not here to shill Push Press necessarily. I want people to make sure that they understand we're a true partner in the ecosystem, and we're here trying to use our data to help people push their businesses forward, which will be some of the stuff I talk about on stage there. So I'm excited.
I love it. Awesome. Well, thanks for your time, Dan. This was really fantastic. Obviously, you getting to share your knowledge and experience, both as the founder and CEO of Push Press, but also as a gym owner and someone who cares a lot about gym owners in this space. I just really appreciate your time and wisdom. So thanks so much for this one. And dear listeners, I will see you on the next one. Have a kick-ass day.
Yep.